welcome to TTRPG Rising Tide Talks, and hello to everybody in the live audience. I'm Matt, Roleplay Chat Copelli, and today we're going to be talking about producing your very first actual play. With me today, we have an expert producer who's created all kinds of fantastic actual plays in the TTRPG space. He's a content creator of all kinds, a designer, an interviewer, a publisher, and most of all, I think most relevant of all, an AP producer. He's the force behind Zeal Zaddy. Please join me in welcoming Scott to RT Talks.
Hi, everybody. Very excited to talk about this. Nobody ever talks about it. And oh my God, I had to learn all this on my own, figuring it out for when I started. It was so hard too.
Yeah. And it is funny that no one talks about it because there are so many wonderful grassroots TTRPG actual plays that exist out there. And I feel like you're right. I feel like having a couple of resources out there for people to use as a starting point would be super helpful. And so that's kind of the hope for today. I've kind of subdivided our conversation or my questions for you, Scott, in three sort of rough categories.
Okay.
The first is being just, getting started, the creative vision and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then I've got the second segment is going to be more about building your table, whether that be, with the right people, but also with the right tools and technical equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And then last but not least, we're going to talk about kind of sharing and growing your actual play as it lives and as it matures. And then, of course, as always, there's going to be an opportunity for people who are here tonight in the live audience to ask questions. There are some questions already that we have kind of geared up. But if you have questions that come up as we're talking, I'd like to encourage you to post them in the conversation thread titled Talking, producing your own actual play. Post your questions, and based on how many are there, I will make sure, we set aside enough time to go over all those. So, okay, that's enough of me talking. Scott, I think it's going to be, let's throw it over to you. You ready to get going?
I'm ready. Let's roll.
All right, awesome. Let's start off with, maybe something a little personal, perhaps something of your own personal actual play journeys. I'd love to know, if you look back, what inspired you to produce your first actual play?
I would say it was probably the first time I saw an actual play and realized we were playing like that already. Just nobody was watching, and I guess I'm a little bit of a ham. So I thought, oh, we can do that. And then I started trying to figure out what I needed to do. So I watched YouTube videos on cameras and mics. And when we started, we had the worst equipment except mics. We had really good mics. And I'll tell you about that when we get to that part. We had terrible cameras. But I bought these mounts because I was running it at a game store. And they had a gaming. And I asked them, hey, can I stream out of here on Sundays? So I took the room for the whole day, from the time they opened at noon till the time they closed not closed, but up till about 9 or 10. And we streamed multiple games in a row. And setting up the equipment every Sunday was just backbreaking because we had to run mics to every seat. And we did it like on Critical Role, where they were sitting around a table, and we had mics on 3 of them at once on each side of the table, and then one camera on the GM, and one little tiny, like a little teensy camera that I could flip down to a mat on the table so we could show stuff being used in the game, like props and pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was probably the easiest camera to set up because it was just a little USB, like at the time, like something you'd use for bad Zoom calls or something. But setting up equipment, running cabling for all the mics. We had mics on a boom that came down, 2 of them to the center of the table, and then 1 of them to the GM. And the first, maybe it's 2 weeks that we streamed, we had a terrible echo that we didn't see coming in. But when we listened, we're like, what the hell is happening here?
Oh, no.
And it was because we used a mic like this, that's a USB mic, and we ran another one through a mixer. And because they come in at different speeds signal-wise, they were just slightly off sync. And that's when I realized, oh my God, all the mics have to come in the same way. If they don't, you just can't align them. The time will never align.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to fix that initially. And then I realized, you know what, I'll run everything through the mixer. I'll get rid of, I didn't use a USB mic anymore, except the little one for the pointer down because I didn't use the audio from it.
For the camera, yeah.
So that was my first experience with audio is always the bane of streaming, which is, if you want to stream, audio will cause you more headaches and heartbreak than anything else. Video almost always works at least decently. And people can forgive bad video. They will never forgive bad audio. They will walk or, go to another stream. The moment they walk, they get in and they hear anything just slightly bad.
Yeah, it's tricky. And like you were saying, right, having good microphones, having good audio is a pretty important step in a production and probably a good place to start your focus.
Yeah.
I was wondering, were there other things that when you did when you were getting started, that you're glad you spent energy on, or maybe there are lessons learned that you kind of regretted not spending more energy on? So what would be those kind of first important things?
I would say both. One of them was I'm a designer by trade. Like even outside this, I do graphic design and branding and all that. We've always had nice overlays. And I think when you're in Twitch, nice overlays are a draw when people are browsing around looking for something to watch. Although I would say there aren't a whole lot of people browsing around looking for something to watch. They're generally pulled to your channel for a reason because they've already found you, they've followed you or what have you. The other the thing that I think I would like to have paid attention to more was I think I should have got better cameras to start. I had a good computer. It was a PC and it had really good inputs, but the cameras themselves were just consumer grade. I had glass window mounts that I had gotten to mount them to the door and windows to the streaming room, to the room in the store, in the game store.
Mm-hmm.
And those things, once those little suctions get just a little imperfect.
Yeah, or like a little dusty or something, they're toast.
They won't keep your camera up the whole time. And it will just drop to the floor 2 hours in or something.
Yeah.
And, it made me realize I need better cameras. And then the pandemic hit, because this was just before the pandemic. Once the pandemic hit, then I brought everything to where I do it from here. Although usually I have an image behind me or something, or a green screen. Although I don't know how much you need a green screen most of the time, but I can pull one off if I needed to.
Yeah. But that's great because I mean, you're touching on something that's kind of interesting here, Scott, and I didn't prepare to talk about this, but I think there are different entry point setups, right? You starting in this room with all of you together, kind of like a la Critical Role.
Correct.
But, now a lot of folks in the space have access to a computer with a webcam, have access to a half decent USB microphone, and being able to just stream from your home office is something that I think, is becoming pretty accessible for the most part.
Yeah.
If that's what people have, would you say that is a perfectly reasonable place to start their first actual play production, or should they focus on upping that a little bit?
100%. I actually prefer it now.
Yeah.
And the reason I prefer it is it's expanded my tabletop to anyone in the world, which you can't do at your local game store. It's whomever you knew before and were friends, or somebody that you meet in the store. And I love having people from all over. Like a game I'm running now, I have someone who lives in Australia. My last game, I had someone who lived in Turkey. I almost always have a Canadian or two. Europeans are a little tricky. You kind of have to run a little bit earlier in the day, end at, say, 6 at nights or 7 at night. So you can do afternoon games or morning games. Europeans hop in on those all the time. They love it. So scheduling becomes a bit of an issue. But you know what? I had more people miss games when I ran in a store than I ever do running this way. If you don't have to drive anywhere, you play in the game. That's it, unless there's a good reason. And people will go way out of their way to make sure they make your stream, to play in your stream, way more so than they will to play in a local game.
Totally. Absolutely.
We're all sometimes a little lazy, or we're just a little not feeling great or whatever, and we use it as a reason not to do it sometimes. I mean, I'm not saying that happened all the time. We didn't have that many people missing, but there's definitely a drop off in local players versus streaming players. I found.
Yeah. For sure. I think also there's kind of like this, there's a kind of a commitment you're making. When you're committing to be part of a stream, there's kind of this unwritten understanding that, you're in this thing together to make something great with an audience that's gonna, you're gonna hopefully build up an audience that's gonna come watch you. So there's no last minute backing out unless there's a really good reason to, right?
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm about to move on to our second section, Scott. But before I do that, I was curious to know. I'm the kind of person that when I think of a project, sometimes I can get a little bit too ambitious in my project. I like to think really big. I'd love to know if you, when you're creating your actual plays, when you're gearing up to make one, how do you kind of balance that creative vision with some of these practical constraints that you might, space, equipment, scheduling? How do you kind of balance all of that out? Or do you have to at all?
I completely imbalance it and I overload on anything that I feel I need if I can afford it. Like I have a couple lights up here that were, I think it was a set of two for $70 that are good lights. And I have two more if I need to add other lights. My mic, I have a good mic. It's not an amazing mic. I actually have a better mic, but I need to use a mixer to use it. And that's actually a space problem. I don't have space around me to use the mixer now.
Mm.
So I'm like, all right, I'll make this one work, even though I love the other one. It's an Ars Technica and it's a great mic. This is just a Blue Yeti. I don't say just Blue Yeti, but Blue Yeti. Blue Yetis are very good mics. They're a little bit tinny for me. I'd rather a little bit more warmth, but no one playing an actual play is going to complain about not enough warmth in your mic. And if they do, you're like, what? Are you an audio engineer?
Or maybe it's you. Are you the one in there complaining to people, hey, there's too much?
I might. I mean, I recognize that it's not warm enough and it annoys me. But so I guess I do complain a little bit, but I do have constraints. I have physical constraints. I don't have a huge space. This is where I work too, like this side of me, I have my work computer. And then this is my streaming computer is way better than my work computer. And all my equipment's way better than my crappy work stuff. But most of the constraints come from time for me than anything else. Time and money, I guess. I don't have unlimited funds, but I make okay money. So I do spend a little bit. But I've also been in a position where I had no money and I was able to figure out ways to do it. Either beg, borrowing, or do it yourselfing. Like one thing I found very interesting is one of my daughters she went to school in New York to do set design. She can make a freaking rig like I've never seen. If I want a rig, I could say, hey, how much do you need for a bit of aluminum and a spring or whatever? And I could get something.
Awesome.
Not everybody has that benefit, but.
No, but everyone that's listening to this is part of a community here in the TTRPG Rising Tide. So I think this idea of working together,
Yep.
I scratch your back, you scratch mine. We have all kinds of amazing talent here. So maybe it's a bit of a plug for our own community, but I think people here
make friends.
Take advantage of that, make friends, help each other out, so that when you need somebody to help you out, you can trade off.
If you're good at something, offer it to someone else that can do something that you need to. And now that's reciprocal. I don't want to say everything should be reciprocal. It's not. Help out people. And when you do need something, somebody will step up usually. Now they're not going to throw you free mics and cameras and all that, but they can throw you free shout outs. They can maybe give you instructions on how to do it, all that stuff. There's a lot of help that's really figuring out how to do it on your own if you don't have money. And if you do have a little bit of money, what's the best one for what you want to do.
So that's it. Absolutely. All right. And speaking of, what the best one is for what you have to do, I think when we talk about building out the table that we're going to be playing on, whether that be virtual, whether that be in person, getting the right kind of equipment and people around the microphones, I'd love to talk a little bit about that with you, Scott. So maybe we'll start. I know you had some questions come up and you were sharing some of the cool overlays and some of the technical programs and things that you do use. So maybe we'll start there. I know there's a lot more to this conversation than that, but given that that's something that I know the community is interested in, Could you kind of walk us through some of the software that you use
Yeah.
to kind of start producing an actual play?
Okay. So there's really three parts to any stream. There's the audio, and actually maybe two if you're a VTuber. The audio and the video. The video, a VTuber doesn't have that issue. And then the actual streaming software itself. So I use Streamlabs. I know that a lot of people prefer OBS because of its open source. Streamlabs is built off the same engine, but I think it's a little bit more robust. I also use a Stream Deck. I have the small Stream Deck, not the small one, the medium one with 15 keys. And I use that as a changer, a switcher for the overlays. Other software outside of Streamlabs, I'm on a Mac. I'm streaming from a Mac, but I've streamed from PCs too. I use Loopback because the Mac actually has one really negative thing for it. It has a robust audio engine, but it does not have a built-in way to control the inputs and outputs individually, only collectively.
Okay.
So I use a tool called Loopback to allow me those controls. So I can now control the inputs and the outputs going to whatever I want it to go to. I use Zoom for my video capture. So when I have people come on, I don't like Discord's video quality, and I also don't like the way it drops. Zoom gives me a couple control things that I think are important. One of them is if I want the quality to be higher, Zoom's definitely a better quality than Discord. But the other thing it does, it allows me to arrange the windows and maintain the arrangement. So when people drop, it's not such a problem when someone, people will still move around, but as soon as they come back in, I drag them right into the right order and everything's in the right place. I don't have to refigure it out or anything like that, which is when you start streaming and you have more than one person, you'll start to realize the problem with that. What else? I use a timer called My Stream Timer. There's plenty of them on the PC. There might be some built into the PC at this point. Discord, obviously. Also, Zoom has a built-in closed captioning.
Oh, that's super useful.
It has a weakness. The text isn't super big. I wish it was bigger. And it doesn't give you any real control over that. But it is there. And if you want to avoid the complexity of trying to get closed captioning to work in a Zoom built one rather than a Discord built one, it's a little more complex. But having it built in saves me a lot of headaches. I use, you're going to laugh, PowerPoint. I use it in a little window sometimes to show graphics on screen to chat and to the players.
Cool.
So I have a bunch of slides lined up and I just click on the one I want to show because I'll have a window in the overlay to show it. And that helps out a lot. And everybody can use that, or you can use Google, what's the Google one for Sheets or whatever?
Google Slide.
Slides. My camera is an Elgato Facecam. I love the camera. It does not zoom. It never zooms. So you don't like move and have it go and you get all of a sudden blurred out. I never have that. Now I can't get it any closer without me getting closer, but I think that's a good thing, not a bad thing. My mic is a Blue Yeti. I think Yetis are good mics for streamers. They're pretty robust. They have good control over the mic pattern, the miking pattern. Mm-hmm. It has 4 or 5 different miking patterns, so you can really control where audio is picked up. Like I can set it where the pattern will be like around this way, but it won't pick up so much from the back. So if there are people in another room with the TV on, I don't have the problem of picking up their audio so much. It's much less.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's a good thing. And that's just a physical dial on the back. So I love that.
What about like how much post-production do you provide? Like, do you do on your actual plays and what do you use for that?
Oh, actually, yeah, I'll get to that. I use Fantasy Plus for my audio, for my music, and I use something called Farrago for sound effects. Now, I don't do a lot of music or sound effects because I'm a one-man show, and it's very hard to maintain all that and maintain running a game
and the stream and
trying to build emotional connections to the players. To me, the players are the most important thing that I have. So if I'm going to sacrifice things for players, I'm wholeheartedly in agreement. I don't care if the music is there at all. If the players feel disconnected because I'm busy twiddling a knob in software.
Yeah.
So I do use it. What I like about Fantasy Plus, it plays music beds that loop endlessly. So I can set a mood, and they will also transition from one to the other. So I can set a a set of 6 or 8 based on the feel I think we're going to get. And then I'll let it play. And they're long loops, like 15 minutes or 10 minutes. So by the time you get around, it doesn't feel like it's just endless. And then you can fade them between each other. So running a 3-hour stream, you almost never notice that the music is looped. So I find that really useful. Then Farrago is great for sound effects. I can click it and hit a sound effect. It'll go off, sirens or horses or dragons, whatever.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, I do think you covered a lot of ground there. So thank you, Scott. I think that covers a lot of ground as far as the software goes and all of that. I know we have some folks in the audience right now, so maybe I'll leave it to the live audience if there are more specific technical questions that you might want us to cover. Please put that in the text chat. We'll go through there, and I'm going to go take a quick look here to see if we have anything in there already.
And while you're doing that, can I also mention 2 other pieces of software that are really important to my stream?
Please do. Yes.
And no one thinks about them, but they're really important. One of them is Google Sheets, because I keep my notes in Google, easy to access from anywhere, my phone or anything. And Google Forms, because when I put out a casting call, I have a form that people have to fill out that allows me to both vet them. And I don't mean vet them for whether they've ever played, but there's a lot of questions I ask. Most of them have to do with your experience as a role player. Like, one of the questions I ask often is, what's your proudest moment in a role-playing game? And the reason I ask those questions is I run narrative first games. If their most important, most impactful thing was rolling a high hit on a dragon and killing it with a stroke, they're probably not going to like my game. I'm not likely to invite them to my table. I want people that tell me a story about how their actions or emotions impacted play. Yeah. So I look for narrative players. I look for storytellers and people. It tends to end up being with a lot of theater geeks and stuff, but not only that. But the forum also has questions about, like I tell them, I use consent in gaming tools. It's a great way to vet out people that are uncomfortable with consent rules and lines and veils and stuff. So they usually don't sign up, and I don't have to worry about whether they're coming on my stream inadvertently. And then I look them up. So make sure you look them up so that make sure you don't get Nazis in your game by accident.
You're 100%. You definitely want the right people for your table. And you also want to make sure it's not only a right fit for you, but it's also something, you as the producer of a show, you're putting this out into the world. You want to be boosting the voices of people who are positive lights in this community and not, like you're saying, accidentally getting a Nazi on your show or anything, of that ilk. So definitely. And it actually makes me wonder, Scott, because when you're picking players for your table, you've got your Google form. Is there an element in addition to that for like the dynamics of the table and making sure that they're all going to kind of riff off of each other? How do you test that? how do you make sure that works?
I go watch videos that they tell me they've played in that they really enjoyed. Yeah. I ask them for that. So I go watch some. I almost always have somebody who's played very little or none. And I almost always have some people, at least one person who's pretty experienced in whatever system I'm running, if it's possible. I love the dynamic of people who are fresh to it and people who have never done it. I think there's no better way for someone to learn than not from the GM, but from the other players, because the players are the most impactful thing in the game. And if they're not, you're probably not running it right. So when I'm looking for players, generally I have really major requirements of diversity. Mm-hmm. The only game I'm running that and have run in a while that isn't pretty diverse is my Harrow game. It was a relatively unknown game, so I didn't have a lot of people who signed up with a lot of diversity, but there is some. So that's important to me in my I encourage people, LGBTQIA and BIPOC people to sign up. It's important if you can do it to have a table that brings representation from all corners of society, if you can. I think I forgot the question. What was the question again? Got off on a rant.
You covered it. You definitely covered it. It's really this this idea of having a strong group dynamic, right? Because like you were saying, the players are the ones that we're telling the story. Like it is their story that we are facilitating for them. So I like this idea of kind of getting a spread of new and old and experienced players and experienced actual play performers and some relatively unknown individuals as well. Also making sure that your table is diverse, because I agree 100% that we tell better stories when we have different perspectives around the table. So it's 100% something that when producing an actual play, people should be focusing on.
I also don't use a lot of VTTs. I use VTTs occasionally. My players know if they see a VTT come on screen, because I don't tell them it's coming, they know shit's about to hit the fan, because I'll do it unless there's just a massive problem coming. So when they do arrive, just having a VTT becomes an impactful moment. And if I use one, it's once every couple of campaigns. Like, I don't love VTTs. I think they detract from roleplay unless you have the right mix of players. They almost all have to be pretty experienced with both role-playing and VTTs and the system to make them really work well. And this is a very particular thing. I think for streaming, VTTs tend to not look great on screens because they tend to be so small. And it minimizes the window of the people. And I want to be able to see the color of your eye and see what you're thinking through whatever you're doing emotively. And when you get into a teeny tiny window, you lose that. So the VTT, even when I do use it, generally it's for a limited time.
Yeah.
If I can possibly do it, but yeah.
Yeah. Or I like that, like you were saying, you've got the PowerPoint slides that you can kind of, let's flash to this, get, set the scene and then flash back to everybody. That's really cool. As far as releasing actual play footage, raw versus polished edited material, what's your stance on that, and how should folks approach that?
I hate video editing so much, and almost everybody I know that streams hates video editing. Now, we're all okay at it, I think, but it's 3 or 4 hours of footage. It is so hard to edit that.
Yeah.
So I generally go in and only clip out problem areas. If we have an intermission, I'll cut out the intermission. I'll cut out some of the beginning when we're just saying hi and who we are. Like if people go really long and they kind of ramble and they go beyond the scope of saying who you are and where you can be found, I might cut that out, because I don't like on YouTube that if people have to wait too long to get to the game, they don't stay. So I try and really keep that tight. Even my logo, when I run it, I usually don't run at the beginning. I wait till after I come on as a host, say what's going on, then run the logo, so they at least see a face come on immediately and there's some human interaction. Then the 20-second logo or 15-second logo, and then we go into bringing everybody on to play. So there are considerations for how it'll be seen outside of Twitch, or outside of your live stream, your actual play.
That's a good point, because there is a lot that happens kind of in the YouTube space, or in these kind of like not live, quote unquote, not live environments. Awesome. Why don't I'm looking at the clock. We're a little past half.
Oh my God.
I want to make sure we save some time for any questions that come in from our live audience. And so why don't we jump right into section 3, which is, about growing the actual play and kind of as the actual play matures. I've never produced an actual play, so I come at this from a very green, new eyes. When I game master a game at home, there isn't an audience that I have to consider. I'm here to make the game the best game possible for the people at my table. Safe, it's fun. We're here spending our Saturday night hanging out, playing games. So I want everybody to leave happy. But when you have this additional perspective of an audience, how do you kind of factor that in to what you have to do as a game master and your responsibilities as they stretch, right? You're not just a game master anymore. You're kind of like this show master, producer. How do you do that? What do you consider?
You have to limit the things you can do comfortably. That's why I don't always use music. I don't always use VTTs. All my overlays always make sure that the players are as big as I can get them on screen and make them look good, while still hitting brand requirements or mood requirements. If you wanted to have a certain look So I think it's really important to do that. You can look at your audience, your chat, in two ways. They're passive bystanders of a TV show that happen to be able to make comments, or they're not passive and they're a participant in your show. I've done both in different ways.
Mhm.
I think that the players are more likely to engage with chat than I am most nights, because I want to concentrate on them, because I'm managing 5 or 6 players plus audio plus transitions to different overlay sets, checking my notes to see if I'm hitting points that we need, and I run kind of open world games most of the time. So, I also have to make sure that the game feels exciting and fun. Like, you can feel when it's kind of dragging down.
Mhm.
So I don't really think that I need to do a lot with chat, but I encourage my players, if they say something funny in chat or something about you that you want to address, like positive stuff, of course, do so. If it's negative, first it'll probably not get through the bots, but if they do, then I just dump that and kill that. When I run, in next year in January, I'm starting a game show. There's a lot more chat interactivity that I need for that, because it's a role playing game show.
Mhm.
I need chat because I need them to. They'll be voting on scenes by the players. They'll be voting on how the GMs go. Occasionally, get to vote on what genre the scene will be in. So that one is scaring the crap out of me because it's so much more interactive. But for an actual play, if you have good players, your audience will entertain themselves mostly. And even if they're not chatting, if you see a chat come in 10 minutes in from person X, and you see them post something 2.5 hours in, they didn't leave and come back. They've been sitting there listening. To me, I know that's engagement.
Mhm.
That's also the most important thing as far as chat's concerned. I've run streams where there was nobody in chat except myself and the players, but I know it was a really good night. I would like there to be more people in chat sometimes, but then when I put it on a VOD, it might get 300 views in a few days or in a few weeks. So I know there was value in it, even if there's no activity in the chat during the stream itself. I think when you run has some effect. Like, if you want to run an actual play,
Mhm.
if you run on Thursday night, you're going against Critical Role, just so you know. If you run Wednesday night, you may be going against Dimension 20. And those have some pseudo effect on you because that's where players are watching.
That's
You need to be cognizant of that. There are tools out there that will help you understand when are best times to streams, if that really matters to you. To me, I run when I can get the players that I think will fit the game best.
yeah.
I will drop things in chat sometimes and I'll comment. Sometimes okay. On a good night, your players will play without you. You don't even need to do anything. They're so engaged. Then I can talk to chat I can make meta comments or something about what's happening in the game. And I'm just like loving that.
Yeah. That's fun. I have seen some folks kind of they have like a designated player who is kind of this community
Yeah.
person, right? That's one way I've
Yeah.
seen some folks do it, because you're right.
Yeah. Paradise does that.
Yeah, Paradise Production does that. Exactly. Yeah. So I find that might be an interesting way to think of it too, right? Because you're right. As the game master, producer, stream master, whatever you want to call it, you've got a lot going on. So having somebody whose dedicated focus is engaging and talking to the listeners as they're there, that's one way to do it too, I
They
think.
can do that though, because they are the same players for years on end.
Mm,
It's hard to do when you run smaller streams. I generally run 8 to 12 episode campaigns, mini campaigns, I call them.
yeah,
So I can't just designate somebody because I'm rarely playing with the same people.
I see. Yeah, that's an interesting dilemma.
In January, I'll start a Daggerheart campaign and I'll have one group for that for probably a year. And I normally don't do year longs anymore.
Is there like a technical reason, or is it just like a personal preference?
Oh, for the shorter campaigns?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's several reasons. Not technical. If you run a long campaign, how does somebody new get into your campaign?
Mm.
It's almost impossible. Even with you coming back every month and giving a recap, I just don't I don't believe people buy into it and do it. So I think whoever you start with and get within, I think about 3 episodes, that's who you get.
Yeah.
You might get 1 or 2 here or there extra. So if I got them for 8 to 12 episodes, I know that they'll stick to that. And 8 to 12 episodes, I believe, is enough to get a plot arc, character arcs, achieve a great end, have, as a matter of fact, I think it consolidates all the entertainment value to a shorter, more impactful thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like one shots. Like, I don't generally like them because I don't think there's enough narrative and storytelling in them.
Yeah.
But 8 to 12, you can tell a lot of story, and I do require my players to have some backstory. And I interweave almost as much of their backstory in as I can to make sure that they're engaged. They're all intertwined in some crazy way, and it makes everyone feel like they're already in a story that's been running for a year.
Awesome. That's awesome. I like that you talked about backstory too, because I think you definitely have to get your players right invested in the story that's being told and weaving them in. I'm looking at the clock. We have about 15 minutes left. I want to make sure that anybody in the live audience who wants to ask their questions, now is your time to do it.
This is the best tool I've ever seen for getting your characters connected.
Oh, cool.
Deck 'em Up by Golden Lasso Games. Oh my God. Buy it, try it. It's very cheap. It changes your session 0. It will change it forever.
Yeah.
Every time that I use it, and when I run a lot of actual plays, every time I use it, I sell 2 or 3 copies of it. Not personally. I know they go and buy it.
Yeah.
I should become an affiliate with them. Take a cut.
You should get your promo cut.
It's amazing. So good.
Yeah. So if folks in the live audience want us to answer your questions, now is your opportunity to put those in the chat. While you're thinking about your questions, Scott, I'll throw you one other.
Okay.
And it's, again, growing more in the space of marketing. How do you approach kind of the marketing of your actual plays, and where have you found success? Where have you found the most engagement and all of that as far as spreading the word?
Build community, join communities. That's everything. That's it.
Yeah.
Build communities, join communities, run cool games that are exciting and have meaningful impacts on people. So if you build a community, you shout people out, help people that are growing, help people that need assistance with their own other thing. There's no questions that I don't answer about how to do things. Like, I help people all the time.
Yeah, you're here now, spreading your knowledge.
In work and life, I feel like the most important and the coolest thing I can do is tell people everything I know about whatever it is I know. And sometimes I don't know, and I'm happy to say I don't know. But if I do know, why would I want to cloister that? I want there to be more actual plays that are awesome. And I want there to be more players and GMs, or GM-less games. That's cool too. Love that. So, share what you can, where you can, and you know what? People will follow you, and do the same thing by joining other people's communities.
100%.
You see communities that are growing all the time. You can kind of tell who's engaged in the community and active in the community. You can go look at almost any person's page on Blue Sky or Threads or whatever. Look at what they've said over the last month, and you'll know whether they're engaged or not, and whether they're doing cool things or whether they're being a good citizen or a good person to the world. Like, all that helps. Shout them out, make them feel good.
Definitely. And I agree with you. I think the more we can get amazing creative content out there, the better. So sharing the love is a great one.
I'm going to get you to stream an actual play. Now that's my goal, because you've never done it.
I mean, I'd love to come on as somebody, but the production stuff scares me. I hats off to you, my friend. the producing one scares me. But maybe it's misplaced fear, perhaps, because you're definitely making it sound like a lot of fun, and it's with the resources that you've been sharing and the community that we have here. I think it's not as hard as taking that first step. Anyhow, isn't as hard as you think.
There's only one thing that actually matters in the whole thing. It's audio.
Mm.
Your overlays can look like shit. Your video can be pretty grungy. Your audio is the only thing that will guarantee driving away everybody.
Yeah.
That's it. Everything else is forgivable.
All right. So we've got some questions here now, Scott, from our lovely live audience. We'll jump in from one from Jared. Jared asks, when planning out costs, in what order is it most important to nail down first? I mean, I think you've already covered it, but we'll double down.
I'll do it.
Microphones, screen editing software, and sound editing software.
Okay. So I would say microphone first. Whatever you do, have the best mic you can afford. Up to a point. Like you don't need $1,000 mic ever unless you're like an audio pro or something. But a Blue Yeti is about $120 or $130. Also, I have found that you can buy used mics through estate sales or in thrift stores. I've seen little Yetis in thrift stores, and you might be able to get one for $20 or $30. And,
Nice.
and it may be missing the cable, but the cables are not proprietary. After that, I would say video editing is probably more important than audio editing, only because video editing's easier to understand and manage. Audio editing is very nuanced. It's very specific. It's much more difficult for most people to understand, and most people can't even hear the difference. Even someone trying to learn editing, if they don't know audio well, they won't know what to do. Maybe learn how to do a little noise reduction or something.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tack on there because Jared also asks a second question talking about video editing software and what is the easiest to use in your opinion. I have an opinion on this too, so I'm curious to hear yours.
I'll start with the one that's totally free. Your phone is a pretty good video editor, although for long form it's pretty rough to do, but you can do it. I think CapCut for someone just getting started is an amazing piece of very easy to use kit that will give you a very professional edit. Canva for smaller cuts from like making clips, totally acceptable. Free. You can pay for Canva Pro and get some more tools. If you're on the PC, Clipchamp is now in Windows 11. It's a good video editor. If you're on the Mac, iMovie and Filmora, both are great. They'll give you very professional looks. When you're ready to step up, there's Premiere, there's Final Cut, and there's DaVinci Resolve, which also is free. That one's free, which is shocking. It is a shockingly good pro-level piece of equipment that costs nothing.
Yeah, that was going to be my answer. It's a little bit intimidating and scary when you don't know how to use that kind of stuff, but it's free to use. It is, like you're saying, Scott, it's everything you're going to need. So it'll grow with you. You can probably find some pretty solid YouTube tutorials out there. That's how I started. I was using it actually only for audio at first, and then I started using it for video too. And it's a very, very powerful tool that's completely free.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth investing your energy in learning.
If you're going to put the time in, that's a great place to go at no cost.
That's it. All right. So this one's from Waywright, level 1 RPG. And Waywright explains that, he's got a crappy headset from his day job, a crappy camera for Discord gaming, and the quality difference is noticeable. But, he's just getting started, it seems like. And he's asking, do I really need to budget in funds from like a Kickstarter campaign to reimburse myself for better equipment for the Kickstarter campaign? And I think I skipped an important part of his question where he's saying that he's going to be doing actual play demos for a Kickstarter that he's going to be, promoting. So it'd be curious to know, I think, how much money he needs to set aside for that piece. It seems like.
So can you get away with that? Yes, for a little while. The audio quality will definitely hinder. But like I said, I would look for a used mic or something along those lines. Facebook Marketplace, if you have Facebook, or I don't know, there's some other like marketplace things you can use. Really loud. Or if I had that equipment, that setup, I would do tests. I would do a Discord test so I could see and hear it, and I would record it. I would then do an OBS or Streamlabs test. And when I say a test, I mean go live. No announcement. Don't let it send out an announcement. Just do it so you can hear it. You might get somebody to come in, but it's not very likely. And actually test the equipment and see how it sounds and looks. download it from the content manager in Twitch and watch it again and listen and see how it comes out. If it's okay to you, it might be okay. But I would also say, as a caveat, if you're trying to do a Kickstarter, you're doing a professional thing. You're trying to get paid for your work, and doing a demo, game demos, is pay-worthy content. You know, you want your Kickstarter to succeed. If they see really bad quality or hear really bad audio, there's a better chance of them not backing because they may see that it doesn't look as good, may not look as good or sound as good. So, as I said before, I would try and get a mic somehow, even just borrow a mic. Okay, if you work for your church or school, and I'm not like a churchgoer, I'm saying I know people who've like done churches nowadays have killer equipment, a lot of them. It's kind of gross, but you know, your church, your school, where you work, see if they have a mic that you can borrow and use that for a weekend. Cameras, I mean, maybe borrow someone's laptop and run on their laptop that has, a lot of these laptops have better cameras than you think, and they're acceptable. Whether they'll run your game or not, that's another matter altogether. But you know, if I was doing it for a Kickstarter, I would be considering, will they see it as unprofessional, and it would hurt my ability to get them back.
Yeah, and people make decisions really, really quick.
Yep.
You know, whether they back something or not, unless they're already part of your community and they're already, you know, invested in seeing your project succeed.
Okay, you know what? I might do something different. Okay, let's say I don't have the money, I can't do it. I would get something like DaVinci Resolve, and I wouldn't stream it live. I would do it as a video, and I would run effects on it to make it look interesting on purpose. You know, solarize it, make it look like it was meant to be that way, rather than allow it to sit and look like it was just super poor quality. Because you can do cool effects that might make it kind of cool and fun. Might be a way to go get around that.
Yeah, and I mean, even with a bad microphone, I mean, there's only so much you can do in post. I like, you can't really correct a terrible audio.
Make it sound like a robot or something, anything, just anything.
Yeah. Or even like simple things like making sure there's no background noise.
Yeah.
Being really close to your microphone and talking softly so that it picks it up. You can always ramp that up after, right? So
yeah,
little things like that maybe can help. But yeah, I hope that answers your question there. Way right.
Avoid it clipping. You know, if it goes into the red, it's too loud.
Yeah. Yep. All right, we got one last question from Olivia, and I lost the RT discussion there. There you go. So Olivia asks us, how do you decide what games to run to best support the story you're there to tell or you want to tell?
I back a lot of cool Kickstarters and backer kits because I think they're going to be good storytelling tools. I have a type. I love a lot of Monte Cook games. I love a lot of Free League games. Like I love Tales from the Loop. First off, if it's all about combat, I'm generally not interested. It's not my jam. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I think there are people who are amazing at that, and you know, I'll watch them. You know, have fun with that. That's super cool. It's not mine. I like interesting settings that are not typical. I would say my best stream has been Old Gods of Appalachia, followed by Magnus Archives. They felt very, very professional. They had cool game settings. The players were fantastic. The hardest ones to run well like that, I think, is D&D or Pathfinder. First off, there's a lot of crunch, and the players turn potentially good emotive moments into conversations about doability or breakability or whatever it is that the system does. I like running small games. Like I would love to run some really small indie games. I would love to run 10 Candles. I'm trying to figure out how to stream that, but
yeah, it'd be hard. It's hard.
And I'm not saying I just do horror, right? I don't do just horror. I mean, I've just kind of been in a horror mood for about a year. I'm going to run Daggerheart next year, but most of that is because I want to know Daggerheart better, and I want to know it from a perspective of players involved in it. So I'll read a system. If the system is super complex, I don't know if I would stream it. I might run it local for friends. I don't think really complex games work as well for emotive play. So, you know, that factors into a lot of it. It's Only Magic is one that I've run one shots of, and I've been considering running like a family style one built around where the wild things are, because I think that would be a
That's
super
fun.
fun kind of a kid friendly, playful game. Maybe do it like a 3-night stream or something. Even though there could be action, like the monsters could be lifting them up and dragging them across the treetops, like that's actiony. I also don't think combat's the only action. I think there's a lot of action in environment and in potential threats as opposed to threats. So I look for setting more than system, and then I look for system secondarily, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And I think what you're saying about a system having too much crunch can sometimes detract from the storytelling, and it makes it hard for.
But just for me, I'm saying for me, not for anyone else. Other people can do that.
Yeah,
Critical Role does it,
it's true. They find a way.
but they all know D&D inside out. Every player knows it inside and out. So if you want to introduce new players, you're going to have to stop for that. So
Definitely, definitely. Well, yeah. So thank you, Scott. That brings us to the end of our time in RT Talks. So thank you for being here, sharing with us all of your wonderful insights in producing your own actual play.
No, happy to help.
I hope the folks listening learned as much as I did, because definitely Scott shared a lot of valuable insights. Scott, before we say goodbye, I want to throw the microphone back over to you just to, see if you have any last parting words as it pertains to producing your own or producing your first actual play. And then when you're done, giving us that, I'd love for you to remind us and tell us where we can find you online, where folks can listen to one of your amazing actual plays, maybe where they can tune in to this upcoming game show that you've got cooking.
I'll start with the in reverse order. I would say you can follow me everywhere at Zeal Zaddy. There's actually two of us. It's not only me. We publish product for Monte Cook Games systems, Cypher system. We have also got a bunch of product for 5e on DriveThruRPG. We stream to Twitch at Zeal Zaddy, VODs on YouTube at Zeal Zaddy. We have a link tree that's Linktree Zeal Zaddy, has all of our socials. So you can find us at all of those places. Our talk show goes to YouTube and to podcasts, which is on Spotify. And then finally, I would say don't be intimidated enough to keep you from trying it. First off, your first one, you're going to have 2 or 3 viewers anyway. It doesn't matter. Let yourself make mistakes, because you're going to make mistakes. Audio will always be the problem. I will tell you, audio is always the problem. It's never or almost never video. And if it's video, your camera just broke and you need a new camera. If it's audio, it's probably you or your software did. You change one little thing, weird by accident. Check your audio, make sure you're getting clean audio in. If everything else is irrelevant, you can do a great stream with 2 people side by side with no overlay, just regular video. I've done it where somebody was coming in via Facebook video or whatever what's their video chat thing?
Yeah, through like Messenger or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, Messenger.
Yeah.
And it was okay. It wasn't great, but it was just fine. It was absolutely okay. You could hear him. That's what mattered. He had good things to say. The content was fine. Don't be afraid to try things and experiment. Your first one's not going to be amazing anyway, unless it's just amazingly good content. And then the video and stuff doesn't matter. The content's awesome.
Well said. Well said. Well, so yes, please do start your own actual play, and also go follow Zeal Zaddy on all the socials. We've got the links posted here in chat, and they're also going to be down in the show notes if you're listening to this kind of post recording. While you're doing that, I'd also like to encourage you to follow the TTRPG Rising Tide on Threads, Blue Skies, Mastodon, and all the other places that you do your socials. We wouldn't be anything if it weren't for you. So this community is truly a community of creatives for creatives, and the more you can spread the word, the more you can follow and share the community with others, the stronger we will become together. I've been Matt at roll_play_chat on all socials, and this has been another RT Talks. We're going to take a little bit of a break over December. There isn't going to be an RT Talks in December, but we're going to be coming back in January, so stay tuned for announcements about what we're going to be talking about and when. I guess outside of that, have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. And Scott, thanks again for being here to kind of close out the year for us.
Thank you for having me. It was great. Love it. I love this.
Awesome.
Best channel, best Discord out there.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. So bye everybody. Have a good one. And remember, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, folks.